Hello and welcome to livealittlehigher.com. Today we continue with our series on Shalom Bayit with the book of Rabbi Itzhak Ginsburg, The Mystery of Marriage. And we were speaking last week about how powerful speech is and how we have to really work on speaking with love and with kindness towards our spouse and everybody around us. Like when we speak nicely, the outcome is going to be very different than if we use harsh words or foul language or we scream. The faculty of speech really is a very powerful tool. And as we said last week, it's what God endowed us with. Like no other creature in the world except humankind has the power of speech. So today we're going to talk about rectified speech. And he begins saying that the key to genuine communication through speech is sincerity. It's very important to be a sincere person, to mean what you say and to say what you mean. Even if you have to say something that is not going to be for the other person, something that is going to be pleasant to hear, we have to speak with sincerity. But the tone we use and the words we use can cushion it a little bit and make it feel that it's really coming from a place of love and not a place of anger. And this is what we have to work on ourselves, that when we're going to reprimand somebody like our children or our husbands, we should do it from a place where we really want them to know that we really care about them and not that they're inconveniencing us or that they're making our lives uncomfortable or it's about us. It's more about them. So when we are able to transfer the information with sincerity and with love from the heart, then it's going to come in a very different way than if it's said with harshness and anger. So it says here that in the words of our sages, when mouth and heart are the same, when the mouth expresses what is truly in the heart, the words which issue from the heart of the speaker enter the heart of the listener. And then there's a very famous quote that we hear all the time, that words from the heart enter the heart. That when you're going to say something, say it from your heart. And since the most essential emotion of the heart is love, the words which most truly issue from the heart are words of love and concern for the welfare of another person. And teach your mouth to speak sincere words. Don't say what you don't feel. Really, people are very, they feel what people feel. Like if someone is not being sincere with you and they're just talking because they want to gain something, you're going to feel it. You're going to tap into that. It's about them, it's not about you. They really can care less about you. And talk with your sincerity, say things. Maybe sometimes you're gonna have to put your tail between your legs and say, I'm sorry for something you did or anything. But do it sincerely. Sincerity really is a very, very powerful tool that goes in your favor. So King Solomon states, Kamaim hafanim lefanim ken lev ha'adam la'adam. As when looking in water, face reflects face, so does one heart find reflection in another's. What it's saying, and the Baal Shem Tov used to say this a lot, was like water reflects the face, is what you see in others is what you have in you. It's a reflection. If you see beauty in other people, it's because you have beauty in you. And the only thing you see in other people is nastiness and you don't see nothing nice in anybody, then you have to really look inside of yourself because there's a nasty place inside of you. You have to work on that. So speaking and relating face to face is thus synonymous with doing so heart to heart. In the Zohar, we're taught that the ability to relate face to face is the very essence of all rectification, and man is virtually the only creature that is able to have marital relationships face to face. If you look, animals, they don't look at their faces when they're having relationships. It's only the human beings that can have a face-to-face relationship. And this is because for him, marital relations are meant to be an expression of his uniquely human capacity to convey his love to the other. Like we can really love. And it comes from a very selfless place, love. It's when you love, it's really about the other person. You know, when you say, I love you, it's so egocentrical. Because it's I love you. It's about me. I love you. I love the way you make me feel. But if one day you don't make me feel that way, then I'm not going to love you. Because I love you because of the way you make me feel. But when it's about you, I love, it's not about me. It's about you. And this is true love. It's when you're thinking about the other person, what the other person needs, about the other person's feelings, about the other person's capacities. And this is true love. So this is the innermost attribute of his heart is to his spouse. And as we mentioned, there are 5 positive propensities, degrees of Hesed within that. And as we said, that is the 3rd intellectual faculty, which is knowledge. We have Chokmah, Bina, that wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. That is knowledge. And there's 5 degrees of kindness in knowledge, and there's 5 degrees of severity in knowledge of Gevura. And it says here, speech is the paradigm of connection and relation. It is through speech that these 5 degrees of Hesed become manifest. As the Zohar states, that is hidden in the mouth. So knowledge is hidden in the mouth. What you know is hidden inside of you. And each of the 5 projected on the faculty of speech defines a different category of rectified speech, and one should therefore try to rectify his manner of speech, especially with his spouse, in accordance with these 5 categories of Hesed and Gevura in the knowledge. And it says here, Rabbi Ginsburg says that by purifying one's thoughts, one should be able to control his speech. And if it's not so easy, then by controlling the speech, you're going to also be able to purify your thoughts. So it's either way. If you can think good and only think positive, and you look at the world with a good eye, and you look at everybody with a nice countenance, and you see grace in people, then it's very hard to speak not nice. But if it's hard for you to look at the world in a nice way, then try to start speaking in a nice way. Make it your avodah for the year, and you're gonna gain the world. Make it your job. Now that Pesach is coming and we have to work on our freedom, and you have a challenge with your speech, make this your one point of growth after Pesach or during Pesach, that you are going to be very careful with what you say and how you say it. So here it says that that words of love, the importance of sincere avowals of love and equalified affection cannot be overstated. Like, we have to really be very sincere in what we say to other people. We should say what we really feel. And it goes without saying, or that it can be taken for granted. Like, we should not take for granted when people talk to us in a nice way. And it should be something that should be really clapped on, honored. And he says here, from an even deeper perspective, the letters and words of speech reflect and express the superconscious levels of the soul, which is not manifesting one's thoughts. And Hasidot were taught that the letters of thought and the letters of speech have 2 independent sources, and the very essence of the soul is not affected by them. So they're like in a different level, like a soul level. The Yehida, our connection, the one that is up there emanating from God, is not affected by this. But in a subconscious level, we are affected by this. And by paying close attention to one's speech, one learns to channel the superconscious powers of one's soul into the conscious levels of the mind, heart, and deed. So the more rectified is your speech, the bigger your connection is going to be with your true self and with God. And it says here that the husband who must express his love for his wife explicitly and directly. So the husband, since we have different makeups, the husband should say it to his wife. He should say to his wife, I love you. He should say to her, you smell good. He should say to her, I love your food. He should express it with his mouth. And this is something hard for men, They're hard to express, but this is something they have to do. And the women, they do it more from the tone of their voice. So we have to really work on our tone. Like try to speak more softly, more loving, and that's what we have to work on. So this degree of Hesed is termed in Kabbalah loving kindness with loving kindness, Hesed Sheve Hesed, and the attribute of Hesed is associated in Kabbalah with the first day of creation, and this is beautiful and very interesting because it says that the first words God spoke when He was creating the world, the first thing He said was, "Let there be light." This is what He said. So from the fact that the first instance of speech recorded in the Torah is the creation of light, we learn from here that the beginning and essence of all speech is light. So light should emanate from our lips. Only light. And the verbal expression of light is the words of love. So when you speak lovingly to everybody, you are emanating light. You are creating light in this world. As mentioned previously, emotions are outwardly directed as opposed to the intellect, which is directed inward. So the emotions are outward and the intellect is inward. And once emotions may be thought of as radiating or shining outward to the world, love is the first and primary emotion. It makes one care enough to extend oneself into and relate to reality. So love is everything. Love is love. Live in a loving way. Be a loving person. Live a little higher. Thank you.